Thanks so much for joining us for another update on MarkTwainZephyr.com. Also our Facebook and Twitter pages at Mark Twain Zephyr. I'm Robert Taborn, Director of Passenger Development, and it's great to have you along for another update here. It is Sunday, October the 10th, 2021, and beautiful fall colors here in the North Woods with the world-famous Mark Twain Zephyr behind me. If you watched last week, you noticed that we finished most of the interior work on the Huckleberry Finn, the kitchen area. And we received a lot of emails over the last couple weeks, also messages on Facebook, Twitter, even some phone calls up at the depot asking what the next major phases in the reconstruction here of the Mark Twain Zephyr. And the answer is really, there's two major milestones coming up. One will be the transplant of the engine in the months ahead into the engine Joe. And also work will continue on the trucks, the wheel sets. Those are the two main area of focuses. Over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of logistical work behind the scenes. Stuff that's, well, not necessarily visual or makes good stuff for the Sunday update. So for the next 3 or 4 weeks with our updates, what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to look back at each of the cars and show you in just about 2 or 3 minutes how it started out here and all the work that's gone on in the last year. And over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to take you on some road trips. Where we're going to be visiting some people who really have a love for this train and its preservation. So we're going to start out with back of the train and work our way forward. In this week's update, we're going to go ahead and take a look, just about a 2-minute slideshow clip of all the work that's gone into the Tom Sawyer car over the last year. Enjoy this. All right, we hope you enjoyed that look back at the some of the work that's gone into the Tom Sawyer. And if you enjoyed that, well, in the weeks ahead, as we mentioned, we're going to go ahead and show you all the other cars. Next week we'll do the Huck Finn, followed by the Effie Dean Car 500 and also Becky Thatcher. And as we did also mention, we're going to be hitting the road. Next week we are going to be traveling to Hannibal, Missouri. We'll be spending the most of the week down there with Ray Harvey. Ray is a muralist who is in the process of painting a 60 by 20 foot mural at 3rd and Broadway in downtown Hannibal of the Mark Twain Zephyr, as well as a steam engine, the medallion off the Mark Twain Zephyr, and Hannibal Union Station. So we will get to bring you all the details and get a look at the mural up close next week. However, we're going to get to know the artist a little bit this Sunday. He joins us via Skype. Thank you so much for joining us, Ray Harvey. And my first question to you is, what got you started in art? As a child, was it something that you found really interesting?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. Most people don't know many artists, and so they're infatuated with the lifestyle or life of an artist and how did this happen, because everyone took art class in school. But speaking of school, my furthest back memory is when I was 6 years old, first grade, and made a bird book, and I drew these photos, images of birds, and everyone just ooh nah, look at the birds this kid can draw. And from then on through school, I was known as the artist, and so I don't think I really had any other choice but to be an artist, and that was fine with me. I thought that was pretty cool, and I liked doing it, and so that led me to going to a junior college for art school, and got some bad advice on what to do directional with my life and my career, because everyone knew you can't make any money being an artist, and you end up living in your mom's basement forever. Well, I found that to be untrue. I was able to secure a job, a very good corporation in St. Louis that was one of the two in Missouri, between Meritz Corporation and Hallmark. A lot of illustrators, a lot of painters, and while I was hired there, not to be an illustrator, I was influenced by all the impact of the illustrators around me, and started doing freelance work, and one thing led to another. I left and went to smaller design studios where I was a creative director and got involved in all kinds of things.
My next question for you, Ray, is how many murals have you actually done?
I've created over 500 murals. I've gotten to the point where I don't count anymore. I don't think about how many I've done. It's an awful lot of brush strokes in 30 years. And a while back, I was on the web and found an artist who was bragging about how many murals he had done in his career, and I'd never thought of it. And I asked my wife, I said, do you think between the two of us we could think about all the work I've done and somehow compile a list? I'd like to know. I'm curious, how many have I done? And it took several days because we'd keep remembering one. And I was well over 350 at the time, and that was many years ago. And as I was telling you before, I had one project that was 17,000 square feet, and it took over a year to do. So how do you break that down into what a standard mural size is going to be? So I'm well over 500, and frankly, at this point in my career, I don't really care. I'm always looking forward to the next one, and the right image, the right size, the right people, the right wall, and how many, it just really doesn't matter.
So exactly how did you get connected with the folks in Hannibal to do all these series of murals that you've done?
Completely by accident. I had only been to Hannibal, Missouri one time prior to 2018. But I had done a lot of murals down in Cuba, Missouri on Route 66. And so a gentleman by the name of Brad Walden here in Hannibal, who was from Hannibal, grew up in Hannibal, he would pass through Cuba on his way down to the rivers down there, and he saw the murals and thought this would be great in Hannibal. I'd like to start an art revolution in Hannibal. And so he found out who I was and where I was, and he contacted me and said, I'm Brad Walden, and I have 3 walls. I'd like to have 3 murals. And I was skeptical. I mean, you just don't get calls like that every day from strangers. Long story short, 3 years later, he's one of my best friends. I'm going to be doing the 6th mural for Brad next spring. And what he did was to bring me here, and the first 2 murals that we were going to do one was of old cars on the back of this vintage gas station, and another one was of this small building that was a bank building and post office, I think. And that building it was a brick building, but he was completely renovating and flipping the building like he does. But it had a small, maybe 8-foot wide American flag on it. And that flag was painted right after 9/11, had become a really big deal in the neighborhood. But because the building had aged and the brick needed to be tuck pointed and repaired, that flag was going to have to go. And so we were going to do the cars in the vintage gas station. And then I said, you're going to have to replace this flag. Let's do the entire wall in a 60-foot flag. And he loved that idea. And we were going to do the cars first. And I said, well, if you really want to get a bang for your buck and get a little impact with the media, I said, it's now June. Why don't we do the flag first? We'll complete it by 4th of July. I said, if we do it in the fall, you'll get a lot more media press out of a 4th of July flag than you will a September 15th flag. And he agreed, so we did the flag, and it was a big hit. I mean, everyone came to get the picture taken from the flag. I'm on Facebook, and I'm just like anybody else. I don't, as an artist, I don't get a lot of praise or views or followers, but I get over 20,000 views of that flag mural the first time I came to Hannibal. And I thought, wow, well, what did I do? What did I do different than I did in St. Louis or anywhere else? And because the city only has, it's less than 20,000 people, 18,000 people. And so that was pretty amazing. But you pick up the Quincy people, the New London, Frankfurt, a lot of regional people, a lot of shares. And so we then did the car mural, and it was really starting to become a thing. And then I was asked to do a mural on Broadway Bar, and he was kind of a follower. Whatever the neighbor did, he wanted to do, and that's kind of how it rolled. And we did a big, giant hand holding a mug of beer and a big bottle of beer, pouring it into it, kind of old style advertising. That was a big hit, and it just, and because of that, then a couple came by and said, hey, we have a building in Alaska, which is just a few miles down the road, and it was Al's Tavern back in the day, and it's now on the historic registry of our group, and it had an old vintage Falstaff logo, and we see what you're doing with the beer here. Come out and do that. I did that, so I picked up all those followers. Then I got a call from the mayor of Hannibal, and he said, I've been seeing your work. Everyone's excited about it, what you're doing. And we tore down a building next to City Hall, which exposed this one wall, and it was not, it was unsightly. It was just dark and stained. He said, it's got windows, it's got cables and conduit and air conditioners. Is there anything you can do to paint on this wall that would, look nice? It's going to have this lot in front of it, going to be some green space. And I said, yeah, sure, we can do that. And long story short, we ended up doing a Kickstarter campaign to raise the funds, and pleased to say over 160 people donated towards the mural. We were able to raise $15,000 in about 20 days, and that's a big deal for a small town, and everybody was excited. So that's actually probably my largest wall I've painted. It's 4 stories tall and 70 feet wide, and it was intended to be more of a touristy, very neutral, welcome to Hannibal. It has Mark Twain, Huck Finn, Molly Brown, Steamboat, Eagles, things like that.
And finally, could you tell us a little bit more about the mural that we're going to be visiting you down in Hannibal with next week?
Well, that mural, I guess I have to say, was the brainchild of a couple people, one being Deborah White. She's turned out to be a good friend of mine, and ironically, she's from Hannibal, grew up in Hannibal, has lots of family here. I'm pretty much sure everybody here is her cousin. She seems to know everyone. But she's lived in Nashville for over 25 years, and but she still comes back to Hannibal and has a lot of contacts, as I said. And then there's a second person, Archie Hayden, who is just the ultimate train Bible guy, and they were in the same graduating class in high school. Oh. And so those two plus some others thought, it'd be kind of cool to have a mural put together by our group, financed by our group. And so Deborah kind of spearheaded that and talked to these people and encouraged them to contribute. I showed them a design, and we had to find a wall, and there's a lot of things to go into the mural prior to just the painting. But we raised the money for that, and they picked a wall, and I'm painting. So I pretty much have the Zephyr just about completed, and I've only been painting a few days. But it will also have the steam locomotive. It'll have Hannibal Union Station. It'll have the big bronze medallion of Mark Twain that was on the Zephyr. It'll be about 5 feet in diameter. The mural is 60 feet wide and about 14 feet tall. It's on the top half of a building. And the best thing about it is that it's right at the busiest intersection of Hannibal. And so when you're coming down Broadway just past the City Hall, you'll see this mural. If you're going up Broadway, you'll be able to see the City Hall mural with Mark Twain. So it gets a lot of impact. And as I posted this morning, that's what I like the best about public art, and especially public art in Hannibal, is that the artwork comes to the people, comes to the masses, comes to the community. I just posted a photo a woman took out her windshield sitting at the red light, and all the cars, everyone's looking at the mural and me up there on the left in production of the mural. And that's what's cool. Everybody that comes down that way is going to probably stop at the red light at some point and see this art. They can think about the art, they can judge the art, they can learn about the art, learn from the art, and you don't have to schedule a time to go to a museum, pay to get into a museum, follow any restrictions. It just comes to you. It's right here in the community. And I explain to people and patrons who want a mural, they always want to know how long will this last, and of course they want to get the most they can for their money. But public art is here for just a window of time, and it's a window of time for us in our time, and we can enjoy it, we can appreciate it, we can brag about it and be proud of it. But eventually it's going to fade, it's going to go away. Now I use the highest quality materials, and majority of my murals last about 15 years. And of course a lot of it depends on the wall. It has to be a well-prepared wall, but it's a 15-year window of time, and after that it can be painted over, a new mural hopefully, or it just goes away. Nothing lasts forever, but that's what's cool about public art. And 15 years is a pretty good window, I think.
All right, thank you, muralist Ray Harvey, joining us this Sunday afternoon on Skype. And look forward to actually meeting you in person next week. We're going to be heading down tomorrow night into Tuesday, and we'll be doing our Sunday update on October the 17th, completely from the mural in Hannibal, and we'll get a chance to show you all the action going on. If you have a chance to visit it in the next couple weeks to see it being painted, it's at 3rd and Broadway, downtown Hannibal, not too far from the Mark Twain Boyhood Home and Museum. And other places we will be traveling on our October 24th update. We'll be coming to you from Canton, Missouri, where we'll meet another artist who shares a love for the Mark Twain Zephyr. And our October 31st update, we'll be going to Mount Pleasant. We'll meet a Boy Scout who actually had his model train set inside the Becky Thatcher back in the early 1960s. And we'll meet the gentleman who moved this train through Mount Pleasant in 1979 as it moved from Mount Pleasant to Kansas City. So we got a lot of exciting updates for you this month. We'll be hitting the road. I got to go get packed. Hope everybody has a great week, and we will see you next week on the road in Hannibal, Missouri. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for another update on the Mark Twain Zephyr at the Wisconsin Great Northern Railroad. Before you go, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's really easy. Depending on what browser you have, just click on the red subscribe button on the lower right-hand side below the video screen, or perhaps it might be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. This way you won't miss any of our future updates. For restoration updates throughout the week, head over to marktwainzephyr.com and click on the Restoration Updates link. We usually add a few photos during the week. Our next video update will be next Sunday afternoon. And remember, you can stay in touch with us throughout the week 24/7 on social media. We mainly use Facebook at Mark Twain Zephyr. We also occasionally use Twitter at Mark Twain Zephyr as well. Once again, thanks for following us and liking us and supporting the Mark Twain Zephyr restoration effort at the Wisconsin Great Northern Railroad. We'll see you back next Sunday at this time.